Okay, so we saw the what are the things that will perform the side effects for our application: timeouts and request or response handling, and interaction with the third-party APIs if we have any callbacks also, right? So these are some of the things we have to handle carefully by using the middleware APIs, right? So okay, so the Redux Saga is also a middleware library. By using this, we can perform the asynchronous actions in our React application. Okay, so if you see this diagram, right? So here, by using the Redux Thunk and Redux Saga middleware, we are invoking the API calls, right?
Yeah.
So, and also one more diagram. Okay. Yeah. If you see this one, from the view, right, from a component, we are dispatching an action, right? Which is nothing but through event, we are dispatching an action. So, if an action requires any API call or something like, if you see, what will happen? The request goes to the API via the middleware libraries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see, once the request comes, after completion of the request processing, again we are dispatching the particular action and it sends to the reducer, right? Yeah. In that way, the middleware will work. Okay. So now it is time to learn about the Redux Saga. Okay. So in order to make asynchronous flow easier, Redux Saga uses the ECMAScript 6 generators. Okay, so now have you gone through the generators concept?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell what is a generator?
It is a function.
Okay.
Which gives an iterator.
Okay.
And we, I mean, it's indicated by an asterisk, and also it contains yield statements and.
Correct. Exactly. So, yeah. So, in case of a normal function, the execution will complete, right, whenever we are going to call that function. But in case of a generator function, what it will do, it can pause the execution until it finds the first yield statement, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, until it finds the first yield, it is going to pause there. Whenever we call the next method on it, correct?
Yes.
Then only it is going to call the next yield statement, right? Wherever it pauses, from there it is going to call these things. Okay, so yeah. So in case of Saga, it uses the generator functions to achieve the asynchronous logics. Okay, we will see that. Okay, so now we have to understand two concepts here: watchers and workers. Okay, Watcher Saga and Worker Sagas.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever we trigger an action, right? So what will happen, right? So the Watcher Saga will looks for a particular type of an action, whatever we dispatched from the store. Okay, if the Watcher Saga matches with that particular type of action, right? Okay, what it is going to do? Just it is assigning the task to the Worker Saga.
Okay.
Correct. So Watcher Saga look for the actions that it is going to assign for Worker Saga. Okay. So the main intention of Worker Saga is to perform an action what it is intended for. Okay. So performing the logic. I mean to say performing the calling of API. Right. So if you see the diagram, you will be able to understand. Okay. So assume this is a component, right? The user perform the button click, right? On button click, what we are going to do? We are going to perform dispatch an action, right? So this Watcher Saga, this we call it as a Watcher Saga. By using this Watcher Saga, what it will look for? It looks for an action, whatever it is dispatched, like assume it is a fetch data action. So if it matches with this type of action, then what it will do? It will invoke or it intercepts that request or the action. Then once it intercepts, it will assign the request to the Watcher Saga. Correct? Sorry, Worker Saga. Okay. So most of the case in Watcher Saga, what it will do? It will try to extract the payload, or it creates a Worker Saga, or it is continue listening for the particular type of action again. So once it creates a Worker Saga, it sends the or it invokes the Worker Saga, right? So this Worker Saga, what it is going to do? It is going to perform an logic to invoke the API. Okay, so first it creates a request. It is going to execute the request via internet. Once it executes the request, it got a response back, right? Once it got the response back, it dispatches with a particular action, whether it is success or failure. Okay, if it is a success or failure, what it is going to do? It is going to put the fetch data success with the result to the reducer.
Okay.
Understood, right?
Yeah.
So similar to our Tank, here the logic inside of our API, right? Most of the logic is same, but here the commands will change, that we are going to see now.
Okay.
Okay, so now So if you see, right, by using the generator functions, right, what it will do, it will pause the execution, right? So sagas are the generator functions. Okay, sagas middleware use it to execute these sagas. Okay, so now if we take a generator function, right, so suppose if I take one generator function, something like get info, assume this is a generator function. Okay, so what I can do, I can write yield, right, yield get data, or I can say extract payload, right? Okay, assume we are passing the request payload here, correct? Okay, I am extracting the payload here, right, by passing this payload to here. Okay, so what it is going to do, assume it is going to return us a username, correct? So next, let, okay, call API, right? By passing this username. Correct? We will get a response back, right? Okay, once we got the response back, what we have to do? We have to dispatch this response, right?
Yeah.
With some type action. With some action type, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, type is something like, we can say request success. Okay, so in this way we can write it. Okay, so but if we are trying to write like this, what will happen? Whenever we are going to call getInfo method, what it returns? It returns us an iterator object, right?
Yeah.
So, but for this iterator object, what we have to do? We have to call the first time, whenever we call getInfo method, what it will do? It will execute until third, right? It will stop there, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we call dot next method on this iterator, what it is going to do? It is going to call this extract payload, right?
Yeah.
Next if we call again, it is going to call the API and get the response.
Yeah.
On call of next, it is going to perform the dispatch of an action. Correct?
Yeah.
So here, some of the operations are no need to wait, right, for some of the operations. Okay, those are the synchronous calls, which means, like if you see the extract payload, okay, so it is a simple operation which extracts the payload information from an object called payload object, right?
Yeah.
Just it returns a username from this payload object, right? So for this, is there any waiting here in order to complete this request? No, right?
No.
Yeah. So next we have the call API. If we are calling an API, means we need to wait until it processes the request and it responds back, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in order to accomplish this one, should we wait for anything?
Yes.
No, just, yeah, we have to wait for response. But in order to do this, just we can dispatch, right, immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, no need to wait for
Yes.
next instruction, right, until it gets.
Mhm.
Okay, so these we divided into two types. What are those? Blocking
Okay.
and non-blocking.
Okay.
Now, can you tell what is blocking and non-blocking here? Call API is a blocking, right? Extract payload is a non-blocking call, right?
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
Okay. Non-blocking means we don't have to wait that in that sense. Or
Correct. We no need to wait until to get some information, right? So if you see this one, right, whenever we are going to call an API, right, we have to wait, right? It blocks the execution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also if you have a timeout, right, that also will block, right, for you sometime until the timeout completes. Okay. So, yeah. So in order to perform these blocking commands, right, blocking actions are blocking actions and non-blocking actions, Redux Saga provides commands for that. So if we want to do it, right, without sagas, what we have to do? We have to call the next method manually, right, in order to execute the next yield statement.
Okay.
Am I right?
Okay.
So in order to not to do it manually, so it has to execute automatically, right? So Saga provides some commands for us. Okay, so these commands we are dividing into two types. What are those? Blocking and non-blocking commands. Up to now clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see the blocking and non-blocking commands, okay, so we have some of the commands in Redux Saga. Okay, the first commands, these are the commands that are left side are the blocking commands, and these are the non-blocking commands. Okay, so we have a call, take latest and take every, and take join and put, flush, cancel, raise, delay, all. Okay, these are the blocking commands. Okay, take latest and take every are non-blocking. Put, spawn and select, these are the non-blocking commands. Okay, so mostly we are using these commands called call, take every, and put and select, and all we are going to see them, and delay also if required we'll see that.
Okay.
Okay, so first we will try to understand the first non-block command called select.
Okay.
Okay, fine, no issue. So select, right? Okay, sometimes we want to retrieve the information from the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understood? So suppose if we want to achieve some functionality, right? So suppose before, I mean to say in Saga function is nothing but a generator function, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in this generator function, sometimes we want to require to get the information from the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So information from store. Okay, so now in order to get the information from store, what you require? You require the state, right? Store state.
Yeah.
Okay, store state we require. So what will happen, right? So whether getting the information from store, is it a blocking call or non-blocking call?
I think it is blocking.
Okay, so why it is a blocking?
Okay. Oh, there is nothing to wait, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So just we have to get the info from state, right? Store object.
Okay.
Okay, so by using the select command, right, we can get the information from the store. Okay, so assume we have an object called, I mean to say store state we have, like pizzas we have, right? Or I will take something like user ID you have. Correct? It deals with the user reducer, right? Okay. Now, okay. So for this user, assume. Now, for this user, what are the items that he purchased, right? What are the products that user purchased that we want to retrieve from this Saga, right? So first we have to identify what is the user ID for which we want to retrieve the information. So our user ID lies into this store, right? Correct? Now, by using this select command, we can retrieve this user ID, I mean to say store information, as like, so for this we have to pass a selector function, right? So what it is do, for this selector function, it is going to pass the store object, state, whole state it is going to pass. Correct? Now, in order to return the user ID, what we have to do? State dot user reducer dot user ID, right?
Yeah.
So now it is something like this. Final statement is yield yield select. Correct? Understood, right? So what it is going to do? It is going to get the information from the store. Okay, so the select is used to get the any information from the store state. Okay,
Okay.
in order to get the information from the store. This is the main purpose of select. Okay, next we are going to see about the call. Okay, so what is this call? Okay, it calls the function and returns the results that will be passed by Redux Saga. Okay, so you didn't understand anything, right? So call is a blocking command. So by using this, we can call any functions which are actually performing the request processing logic. Okay, so something like get products API, correct? So in this, right, this is a function. It performs, right, it returns a promise. Okay, so which means it performs an logic of request response handling, correct? So what we have to do, we have to wait in order to complete this request, right? So yeah, in order to perform any blocking function call, we have to go for the call command. Okay, yield call get products API. Understood?
Okay.
Correct. Sometimes we have to pass the arguments to this products API, right? I want to pass for this user ID, right? Whatever we fetched. Okay, so in order to pass these arguments, we have to use the comma separated list.
Okay.
Okay, then automatically, whenever it is going to call this function, right, get products API, it is going to pass this user ID and it return as a response back.
Okay.
Clear, right?
Can you explain again what the call is?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, the call is something which is used to invoke the blocking call, right? So, which means suppose here we are trying to get the products from the end third party API, right? So we have to wait until the request processing completes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so once the request processing completes, it returns as a response. So what it will do, right? So whenever it finds a call, right? So it will wait until the request processing completes and it returns the response back and it stores the response into this variable. Understood?
Okay.
Okay, next. Now, once the response we receive, right, what is our next step? Response received. We have to store this response into store, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to dispatch actions, right, we have to dispatch an action, right? By saying some type like request success, right? And by passing some data, right? So, so for this we have to use a command called put. Okay, by using the put command, we can dispatch an action to the store.
Okay.
So something like yield put, right? Just dispatch an action. type request success, comma data response.
Okay.
Clear, right? Yeah. So if we get a failure, right, what we can do? You can put it in try catch, correct? So what I'm going to do? I'm going to yield put type request failed, correct? Data, some error details.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. So now what we can do? We can pass one temporary put here by saying type request started, right? Okay. So by using this put, what we are updating, just in order to display the loaders or any messages until our request is processing, right?
Okay.
Okay, so our request will be processed until whether it is success or failure, right?
Yeah.
So the span between these, right, this time, we call it as a request processing time, right?
Okay.
The span of time between the request started to request success or failure, we can say that request processing time. So based on the request started, we can put one tag or one information in store like request status, right? We can say request started.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. If request is started, means we can show the loaders or any images, or we can show the message like okay, request is processing, correct?
Yeah.
So once the request success, what we can do? We can dispatch our action, then we can process the results, get the results from store and process it, right?
Yeah.
This is similar, right? Get results from store and process it. I mean to say it is a regular one, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing here. So, yeah. So next we have a take every take latest, right? Okay, by using this, we can create a worker saga and it will wait. Sorry, we can create a watcher sagas and we can tell to Redux saga to listen for the particular action, whatever we are going to dispatch, right? So once it is dispatching, if it matches to that particular action type, it is going to return or invoke a worker saga for that. Okay, so you will understand if we see an example on it. Okay. So in order to get all these commands, we have to use the Redux Saga library. Under that, we have effects. Okay, in this we have all these commands, whatever I discussed so far, right? All these commands are available.
Okay.
Okay, so Okay, tomorrow we'll see the example. Just I will show you what we are going to see in tomorrow's class.
Okay.
Okay, so if it has a existing port 3000, it is taking up using the 3001 port.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever we discussed, right, by using the login, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we have done the login part. You remember? We are invoking on request response API, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing I am doing by using the Redux Saga.
Okay.
Okay, and also if we have a multiple asynchronous actions, right? In that case, how to handle the multiple sagas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for that I used the another library, Google Book API. By using that, I am trying to get the information from the API, Google Book API. Okay, so let it complete. Okay, so you can see, right, the same one, but backend is Sagas.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see the books, right? Okay, some book name you can give, some topic, right? React, JS, right? So what it will do, it takes that string and it returns us the some books information.
Okay.
Clear it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these things practical. Tomorrow we are going to see.
Okay.
Okay, tomorrow we'll meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.